So with all that's going on, give us an idea of what we should be doing. We know we only have tomorrow and Saturday early vote, but the rest of the year we got to work to get folks ready for November. So, Secret Sauce Sisters, what do we need to do to make sure that we maximize that vote and get our folks to turn out? And let's on this in.
Well, it can't just start at election season, first of all. So this is something we need to be doing year round. It's conversations that need to be happening in our homes. It's conversation that needs to be happening in our community. It's conversations that need to be connecting people to their current reality. Part of the reason why a lot of young people don't want to vote is because they don't understand the consequence. They don't see down the line what has happened. So, for example, we had an election, a school board election here locally, and everybody was asleep. And now we see what happens, right? And so we've got to make that connection with our young people that when you decide not to vote, you're actually supporting the current reality, right? So we know, I know we're not supposed to be political or partisan. We know there's an issue coming up in this election and that people are not enthusiastic about what the choices are, and they may make a decision not to vote because of that. We have got to connect them to the consequences of not voting. And it can't be that we just start at election season.
I absolutely agree with everything that you said, but I have a different angle. I think we need to continuously do work, but there's an educational piece, especially as it relates to the generation, on educating them on the why and not just beating them up with purpose, but because we have to respect that these younger generations have seen a lot. They have lived through the pandemic. That's right. They have lived through George Floyd. Like, they have lived through a lot. And even if they were engaged or whatever, like, we need to sit back and ask them, why aren't they motivated? Why aren't the kids that are 18 years old that have lived through this past couple of years where people have died like left and right? We need to ask them, but we need to talk to them and meet them on their level first. And that has to be constantly done, and not just come in 2-3 days later or a month out from the election, but constantly having those dialogues in those communities with different stakeholders. And again, I'm gonna use the word stakeholders, but that just means that could be anybody. That could be a community leader, a coach, or whomever, and educating on them. And the other thing, the educational piece, not just about voting and our history, but what different levels do, right? Because I've worked on the presidential election, so we have people that come with big ideas of what should happen during the presidential election, but the issue might be school board. So then they go vote for they went and vote for Biden, years ago, but they're mad about an issue in their school board. It's education and meeting people where they are, because some people might not be. It's not romantic like we are. We, as Democrats or as people, Black people, we have romanticized our leaders, and make emotional decisions, but we need to kind of meet the next generation if we're going to move forward, because if not, it's going to be kind of sad.
Yeah, I'll chime in and say I think it's both and. I think both of my sisters here are right on point in that we have to, I believe, start early. And it has to be continuous. Our folks cannot just see and hear us 5 days before the election, a month before the election. It has to be continuous. And it also has to just be local. I think we have to get out of the mindset that we have to be the president of an organization or a leader of something to talk to people. Actually, you can lead right in your home. You start right in your home at your kitchen table to, just as Jessica outlined, listen and not be so quick to be dismissive of those who have questions and or concerns. Because as I heard it put by another sister, the rightfully critical. How do we embrace those? Listen to what it is, their lived experience. And as my other sister said, remind every one of the consequences when we don't vote. Because sometimes the mass confusion and the depression of the vote is meant to keep us from voting because of the consequences, or to someone else, the advantage of what happens when we don't vote. And so it's important for us to, I believe, listen to those who have concerns and truly listen to come to an understanding to how we can then encourage them to get involved in a way, not just, oh, go vote, but get involved in community to be the change that we see. I think we have, as the sister just said, romanticized leaders, when really we are the ones that we're waiting for. It's just us. And if we put ourselves in the mindset, when we think about the great civil rights leaders who came before us, they were in their 30s. They were in their 20s. Cleola Brown, I believe, was 15 or 16 years old when she snuck on a bus, a Greyhound bus, and went to the March on Washington. And I think we wait for somebody to tap us on the shoulder to tell us that we can lead, when really all we got to do is just do it. And I think that's important. And finally, what I will say, my sister, you said secret sauce, but I dare say that Black women, we the whole recipe.
Well.
We the entire recipe, not just the secret sauce.
So I've been thinking a lot about this because of if you look at our data and our numbers at the polls. So for instance, I live in Charleston County. I live in the city of Charleston, and our last mayoral election, and then the runoff. The runoff was on a Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It was dreary outside, y'all remember? And so in my precinct, there were supposed to be 5,000 eligible voters. And when I went at 4 p.m., there were I was number 456, right? And so you do the math, that's, 10%, right? And what I'm thinking about, my background is engineering. I'm always trying to find solutions. I'm always thinking about what is the key. And I think about getting people out to the polls. One, I think once they're educated, I agree with everyone. So, work that we've been doing is just putting the pieces together, especially in Charleston County and around the school district issues, putting the pieces together, the historical perspective, so people can understand that what is happening today is not new, but we can go all the way back to the 1700s, and we can look at laws and history. And so what is happening is we have now an awakening of people that are showing up and they're saying, I want to be present. So now we have to keep people motivated to keep coming, because they're thirsty for information, because they absolutely see what the consequences are. And so I'm thinking about, if we do all the education, how do we get people out to the polls? On those days, we have to go back to history, which says that our churches were activated. Our churches were activated. So last Saturday, we had the pastors, and we talked about going into all the churches and saying, going through your roster and being able to know who are the registered voters in your church. Because there's data that says if we can get 50 to 60 people to vote in each church, because churches are usually they're around each other. You can have 5 or 6 churches in one cluster. That can change the outcome of the vote. And then what else is sitting in parking lots on Tuesday of voting? We got vans. Every church got a van, at least one. Some of them got buses. And then on this Tuesday in November, our schools are out of, they're not in session. So you got buses that are going to be sitting. So we could start thinking about how could organizations coalesce and come together and really you could have party buses going to polls, right? And we can make it like, this is the thing you want to do. Oh, I don't have to drive. I can take the party bus to the so I can take the party bus to the vote. How do we get our people activated again and excited about being a part of the change? I'm just excited about what can be the possibilities.
Can you give us our first panel of sisters, is what I call it? First panel, a round of applause. Thank you all so very much. Ladies, thank you. Bring up our sister Trudy Lucas. We have a couple of folks that are going to bring greetings, and then the second panel, y'all get ready, get ready. We're going to call on you, and then we're going to open it up and come and have a conversation with you all that aren't on the panel. And when we do that, we're going to let folks to start, once they tell us it's a go, start bringing food. So Trudy and then Christina is going to be a part of the group to bring greetings.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, panelists. That was amazing. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited about being able to share this individual with you. She is the president and the CEO of the International African American Museum right here in Charleston, South Carolina. She is a powerhouse, and we are so excited that she's ours. If you have not had an opportunity to go to the museum, I suggest that you do so ASAP. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Tanya Matthews.
All right, y'all, how y'all doing? Y'all tired yet? No, just making sure, just making sure. Listen, I am excited to come and to greet you all and to say hello and re-hello to a lot of folks that I know. Of course, inviting you to the International African American Museum, which is now the second largest museum of its kind in the country. Go Charleston, go. Of course, we have the power of place in that space because we hover atop the spot where the nation's former largest slave trading port was. Hover atop because the ground is sacred, so even the museum does not touch the ground so that we can put our feet back on that place. I was talking to a brother visitor the other day, and he says, it doesn't escape me that the last time I was down here, I was voluntarily getting on a boat, one of those cruise ships, and to be in this space where I have that choice, but I'm also here to remember that. So it's very, very powerful. In that space, I want to encourage everyone to come, visit, support, and be a member. And I want to tell you, there are some advantages to running a history museum. See, the advantage to running a history museum is I get to know some stuff. Right. So when the new stuff comes up and they talk about a new election, you mean just another election, right? And they want to talk about the importance of this vote. You mean the importance of this vote again. And so you come to the museum, you might find some inspiration. Now, some folks might find some inspiration when we talk about where we were, right? How far we've come. They want to talk about that space, in the middle, this period of enslavement. Some folks gonna take it all the way back, say, well, I remember when we used to run and build kingdoms, so that's why I vote, because I intend to do that again. They may find their inspiration there. Some may find their inspiration in all of the elected officials and powerful pundits that we feature and we showcase in the museum. But this group right here is special. So I was walking around the museum trying to figure out what could I do to encourage those who are encouraging those who need to vote. Not just the voters, like I'm assuming each and every one of the folks in this room and watching whatever this is, we are already registered, right? So we are here to encourage those to step up and to register. And sometimes this may seem a little frustrating, right? Almost on the way out of the museum, almost on the way out, you get to the second half of the American Journeys Gallery, and you get into this period. Now, first of all, some of you may know that the National Association of Colored Women's Clubs was formed in 1896. It was a long time ago. That was the association of the clubs, meaning at that time, Black women were so busy and so prolific in doing our thing, we needed a national association for the clubs. Now, the way that Black women form clubs, right, just in case some folks are confused, these clubs are about the business, right, of building homes, about building communities, about suffrage. We were showing up to the suffrage events, whether or not we were invited. Okay, so we were having that conversation. So we needed an association, right? So when you want to talk about the Black woman's vote, regardless of which side it's on, this is not a new thing. This is a centuries old practice that we have been in this space. This is not about remembering or reclaiming the value. This is about sitting on that foundation. Again, more than a century in this work. And so you keep running, you get on through the 1890s, you're like, oh, how long is this story gonna go? And you come up into, sort of the 1940, and there's this interesting panel that talks about the movement to get Black folks registered to vote. It feels a little similar. I don't know, some of y'all may not feel the similarities, but I do. So to get folks registered to vote, and we have this panel that talks about the fact that in 1940, there were 3,000 African Americans registered to vote. Now, you may remember by that time we had the vote, technically. We were invited to vote, technically, but there were some barriers. There were poll taxes, there were quizzes, there were cross burnings. There was a lot of things in between Black folk and the vote. Perhaps that's why only 3,000 people were voting. And then South Carolina became part of the greater movement in bringing folks down to help folks understand the importance and the power of registration. One of the main movers of that movement were the Black women's clubs. I told you this wasn't a party. So the Black women's clubs came and were helping the NAACP and the Southern Democratic Party and all of those folks to get Black folks registered to vote. By 1948, remember 1940, it was how many? It was 3,000. By 1948, there were 35,000 African Americans registered to vote in the state of South Carolina. That is less than a decade. That is less than a census. That is less than, when they move the lines. That is less. That's not politics. That's facts. That was less in that point. So just to remind you that what you are doing is powerful. What we're doing is possible, and it makes a difference. To go from 3,000 to 35,000 inside of a 10-year period is why this is so important, is why this is so hard, is why there may be barriers. And the last thing I would say is if someone cares enough to argue with you about it, holler back, right? When was the last time you argued about something you didn't care about? When was the last time you asked a provocative question about something you were not paying attention to? When has a young adult, emphasis on the young, ever raised their voice at you because they were not paying attention? These are the moments and these are the conversations that matter. And the advantage of working at a history museum is that I have the proof and I have the facts. So I want to encourage you, but I already want to thank you. It has already been given and decided, and this is important work. And that person you walked away from that's rolling their eyes and sucking their teeth, they haven't thrown the ballot away yet. And they will be there. And if that doesn't work, I really like that party bus idea. Holla. Thank you.
You gotta go see it. If you hadn't been, you gotta go see it. You have anybody else? Okay. Is it Miss Yvette in the room? Well, Christina's in here. Miss Christina Q, come on up here. She is our newly minted convener to establish the Black Women's Roundtable in the state of South Carolina. She's out here moving and shaking and making things happen and moving presidents and vice presidents from the United States to Africa and everywhere else. At one time, she was on our team. She's never left our team. She was our campaign manager in 2022. So I know you got to hit the road. So bring us some grievances.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are so honored to be here before you today. Thank you so much to our fearless convener, Melanie Campbell, and Ms. Trudy Lucas. We're in her hometown, and I am Christina Q from the great city of Aiken, South Carolina, and I am so excited to be here before you. This out of all the events on our schedule, this is one of my most favorite events that we were organizing and putting together. And so in my 15 jobs that I have at one time, I'm trying to multitask and be in two places at once right now. So y'all forgive me that I have to leave. right after this, because the vice president is coming to South Carolina tomorrow, and she'll be in Orangeburg, South Carolina. So, we do all things to support all the Black women and the amazing Black women doing amazing things. So that's really what my motto is in my job. So I really love the work that I do. And so I'm just grateful for the opportunity to stand before you as a new convener of the South Carolina Women's Roundtable. A lot of you all have been to Black Women Roundtables events in DC and seen nationally the work that Melanie and all the other conveners in all the other 13 states have been doing. And now South Carolina gets the opportunity to be one of those states. And so I'm so excited, and I look forward to working with everyone that's in this room. And I look forward to us branching out and reaching across the state to bring all the Black women in together. And so we can go to the retreat together. We're gonna do all the things that all the other conveners have been doing together. So thank y'all so much for being here. Hate I'm gonna miss the rest of the conversation, but we're looking forward to continuing this work, because I heard my sister Jess mention it's important to keep this work going, and not just during election time, but during the whole year, so that we can make sure that we get out the vote and we really help us understand the importance of our vote, and our voice. And so thank y'all all so much for being here, and I look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. And be safe on that road. Be safe on that. So we get a little wake up music. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Let's get wake up music. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Always. But Clay, you know what I want to do? Take a moment to pause for our brother Joe Madison, because it's out. Anybody heard of the Black Eagle? Joe Madison passed away, and it's all over. It's out now, so I wasn't gonna say anything. So I do want us to just pause for brother Joe Madison, the Black Eagle. Oh boy. Just pause. Sorry. Hold on.
There was a jackass, and I won't call her by her name, who said that there's a frightening thought at the possibility of Kamala Harris becoming president. Y'all know who I'm talking about? I don't have to call her name, right? She said it on national television. Just let the vice president know that there are sisters that are rejoicing every minute. We will grease up at any moment. That if the occasion should arise anytime to defend her to a seat that she is rightfully entitled to, if something should happen where her progression falls in line, we will not sit quietly while they insult those who are doing the work, who came to that position by virtue of owning it, not just because she is or that person. Lord have mercy. I'm nonpartisan. Let me just stop.
Second panel, you're going to come up. Regina, Tiffany, Tamika. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, Tamika. She's coming. Tiffany James. Maria, are you here? Maria Reyes. She's not here. And Marcia Johnson. Come on up.
We need one more chair. When the gentleman get a chair for one of the ladies, we're gonna need one more chair. I think something has not slid. Oh, it's just four? Okay, we're good, right here. Okay. All right, ladies, y'all ready? And what we're gonna do, because once they let us know that the food is ready, we're just gonna let people just quietly go and grab something. Okay? All right, y'all ready, ladies? Y'all ready? Well, I'm gonna ask you that first question, okay, that I asked the first panel. And then what does the power of the ballot mean to you? I'm going to twist it a little bit. What are the one or two things that you think are on the ballot? We've got a whole ballot thing. I wonder what a ballot is. We list all the issues of concern. So what does the power of the ballot mean to you? Give us one or two things that you think are on the ballot. I say voting rights are on the ballot. Start there.
Well, good evening. My name is Mika Gadsden. I'm an organizer here. I organize around social justice and environmental justice, and I also create content. I'm a media entrepreneur. For me, I've been organizing around Charleston and around the state for some time now. And for me, when you pose that question, what immediately jumps to my mind is legacies on the ballot. And while that's not something tangible or is not a specific policy line, legacy is on the ballot. And we've heard these amazing voices just enumerate the challenges that we've all witnessed, that we've all had to navigate. But like Septima Clark, a Charleston native icon, my guiding star, like I don't want to butcher her quote, but she has said that chaos presents opportunities. And so for me, we are in this very special place in time where we can create new traditions. We can create new pathways to democracy. We can teach those who feel disenfranchised, who feel silenced, who feel ignored. We can teach them how to engage with their democracy, just like she did, just like so many women in this state, from this city. They've architected democracy. When there was no access to the ballot, Black women specifically, and young organizers with SNCC specifically created pathways so they could engage with their democracy. I think we are poised to do just that for this moment. For those, again, who don't feel themselves to be represented, we can teach them how to advocate for themselves. And I am somewhat of an outsider in that I lean a little bit left of so many other folks here in Charleston, but that doesn't mean that we're not on the same side. We're on the same side. And like any other group, like any other city, we should celebrate the multiplicity of ideas and ideology and viewpoints, because those people need to be represented as well. So when you ask what's on the ballot, legacies on the ballot.
Good evening, everyone. I am Tiffany James, and I am a public relations consultant with my company, Justice James Consulting. I'm also the president of the National Action Network of Columbia, South Carolina. What's on the ballot for me is democracy. Without democracy, all else fails. We will not have our voice. We will not have the vote. And we see that being stripped away from us this very second. And we know if a particular candidate wins, then it could be the end of our democracy as we know it. Our democracy is not perfect. We are here to form a more perfect union. So yes, democracy is the most important thing to me. I want to quote, since it's the first day of Black History Month and it's my birthday. Thank you. And it's also the birthday of Langston Hughes. In one of his poems, he said, "Let America be America again, the land that hasn't been yet, but yet must be." Right? That but yet must be, like I sit with that almost every day. Our country cannot be if we lose our democracy, right? If we lose our choice, if we lose our voice, if we lose our vote. And so democracy to me is the most important thing, as well as community. We have to move beyond our individualistic ways and focus on each other. And we are in a fragmented world. And as long as we stay in our own little bubbles, our democracy can collapse right before our eyes. And I believe that's what we're seeing right now. But we have a chance to save it this November.
Marcia, also, I know you have materials. This is when I wanted to put them out. So if we have those materials from the Lawyers Committee, guys, we want to put that information out. Make sure you answer that question, but also tell them what to do to protect our vote.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be with you here this evening. Very excited to have this conversation. Thank you, Melanie, the coalition builder, for inviting me to be a part of this. When I heard the question, the first thing that popped into my mind is everything, right? Everything we care about, all the issues we care about that govern our lives, the way we live, autonomy over our bodies, our education, work, and more importantly, as a voting rights lawyer, for me, the courts are on the ballot. Right now, we see the courts, starting with the Supreme Court, that is shredding, picking away at the iconic Voting Rights Act of 1965. And the Voting Rights Act of 1965 is the legislation that made America a true democracy. We are a very young democracy, and there are forces that are trying to turn the clock back, and started doing that with the Shelby County decision in 2013 by weakening the Voting Rights Act. And since then, the court has continued to weaken the Voting Rights Act to the point now where the Eighth Circuit is saying that organizations like mine, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, can't bring litigation to enforce the Voting Rights Act. Private individuals, private organizations can't bring litigation, that it has to be only the government. And this is a pattern we're seeing. And when we think about the justices on the Supreme Court, the federal judges, how do they get there? The president nominates and the Senate votes on these lifetime appointments. And so there was a time when we looked to the courts to enforce our rights. And now we're dreading going before the courts because every time we've given them an opportunity recently, they're chipping away at our rights. And so I see this as part of what I call the great backlash. It's part of history, right? Whenever we succeed and we're moving forward, there's always been a backlash. But as you've heard, we stand on the foundation of greatness, and we shouldn't shrink from this backlash. And this is why I'm excited to be in this room tonight with you all, because we're fighters. And we've always had to fight for our rights here in this country. And through those fights, we've transformed American democracy. And this is just a moment for us to do that all over again. And I say together, we can win that fight. So at the Lawyers Committee, we convene the Election Protection Program. 866 Our Vote is the hotline. That's a resource for you. Please share it with anyone you're talking to about the elections. Let them know that they're trained attorneys who are there to help them answer any questions about voting. Because it's about the issues, but it's also about being able to cast a ballot that will count. And that's what we're here to help with. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Regina Duggins. I am the founder of Charleston Black Pride, which is an LGBTQ organization that I started here 4 years ago. I'm originally from Coney Island, Brooklyn, New York, but my family roots on my mom and my dad's side hail from St. George, South Carolina. And what I feel that's on the ballot is education. Me being the only one right now in my family that has a doctorate degree should not be. And we stem all the way back to my parents' father having a third grade education, but he stood on the principles of making sure that I was educated. So when I look at him being murdered when he was 33 years old, my mom had to be a strong woman of raising 6 children on her own in New York. But she did it. She's 80 years old. She is my biggest strength. And she made sure that my voice wasn't silenced. That's also on the ballot. We will not be erased, but we also will not be silenced as Black women. So yeah, I thank her for that. And that's what we need to make sure that we are putting out. So as a special education educator at Military Magnet Academy, my case manager for 11th and 12th graders, that's what I'm implementing to our youth of color, especially telling them that you, even with the disability, should never be silenced. And you will graduate and become someone better than what someone probably wrote the story for you. So that's what we also are putting on the ballot, that we support special education and making sure that we rewrite what wasn't written because no one knew what disability meant. But we took it as we all have a little bit of anxiety. We all get a little nervous at times. And the stuff that we've actually endured as Black people, it was embedded in us to have special needs. But the special needs is empowerment, because what it is that we look at things differently. And that's what we need, because if everybody walked around being the same, this is not a monolithic world, we will never advance to where we are. I couldn't stand before you today, 46 years old, saying I have a doctorate and I'm a Black female and I'm an open lesbian. I would not be able to disclose that. So the times is changing. So that's why I said keep educating, because even me educating you in this room, if I didn't disclose that I was an openly lesbian woman, y'all would love on me. But some of you may, because of your and not knowing your lack of and being uneducated, oh, I don't understand what lesbianism is. Okay, it's not for the part for you to understand, but I need you to support me because I'm coming to the table. And I'm still fighting the fight because I'm Black first, I'm a woman second, and then I'm a lesbian third. So I need you. Thank you.
We bring our whole selves to this table. This is rapid. So, because we want to make sure we eat and we end this night in the same night we started it. Hallelujah. So, second question to you all: what do we need to do, not just for this next 2 days, to make sure that we maximize our power as Black women, as Black people, in this election? Whoever wants to start, I'm not even going to go around. What do we need to do to make sure we maximize our vote, not just over the next 2 days, but
Keep
in
talking.
this election cycle?
Keep talking. Don't be silent. Keep talking.
I agree. We need to continue engaging. You know, the elections are an opportunity for us to talk about our democracy, but it shouldn't be the only time that we're talking about our democracy. It shouldn't be the only time we're engaging. And I really like what was said about engaging young people, because I learn a lot from young people, and they have the power to be transformational because they don't sit with the things we just accept, and which I love about them. So let's just keep talking to young people, learning from each other, and engaging each other throughout the year, not just around election time.
So, okay. I will say, keep people engaged. Is that the question?
How do we maximize that vote?
I believe we maximize it by caring for each other. We don't know each other. So when we come together and say, hey, we need to get people to get on the bus, we need to get people to do this, we need to get people to vote, and we're shaming people for not voting, it's just like, but we don't know each other. We don't know each other. We don't know each other's needs. We can walk down the street and not know that somebody's rent is due and they may be out of that house the next day, right? We could be sitting next to somebody and not know that our sister or our brother has a need. And I think it's because we were taught to be like, pull up our own, superwoman, and to pull up our own bootstraps, and every man, every woman for themselves. And that's not the type of people we are. We come from Africa, the motherland, right? And the type of people we are people who is community-based, who care for each other, who provides for each one of us, not just for our single family household, but we look out for each other. So I think it's so important to build like care infrastructures in our community so we know each other, we love each other, we care for each other. So when I say, you know what, we need to go vote because so-and-so needs this or so-and-so needs that. And then they're like, okay, well, let's go do it. We don't have to we don't have to force them to do anything. Everybody is already on board because everybody is already connected. And that's how we were during the civil rights times. That's how we were. But we were forced to be together then. We were forced to be together. So what would it look like if we choose to be together now in 2024 and beyond?
How do we maximize our vote? To me, we're only as strong as those we bring with us. And it's something that was already echoed with the previous panel. But I want to ask a rhetorical question. What does Cleveland Sellers, Stokely Carmichael, and John Lewis, what do they all have in common? There you go. You said SNCC. They were student activists, right? There was a place for them, right? So when within the movement work, whatever that movement work with is, whether it's block by block, whether it's church by church, we need to create space. If we're looking around and we don't see young folk engaged, that means we have not created a space for them, right? And so we need to do that. We need to follow the steps again. I'm going to say their names again. Ella Baker. I'm going to say Septima Clark again. These are the women that actually taught these young men and women. Got to remember Diane Nash, a number of Black young organizers. And so for me, we maximize our vote because we create spaces for people who are not engaged. And we ask them why they aren't engaged. But not just that, we start advocating for things that they care about. If they want more outdoor space, more green spaces, if they want cleaner water, we need to make sure that is on the ballot. So they see themselves on the ballot. That's the incentive. So if they don't see themselves in the organizing, if they don't see themselves on the ballot, they won't show up. So we have to create that space for those people.
Thank you all. Thank you for our second panel. Thank you all, ladies, so very much. Trudy, we have someone going to bless the food, and we have our sister leader, Kara Tarantine, is going to come up here and talk about, give us some information about the rest of the tour. And then, but we hope that you can hang with us for a little while longer because what did she say? We need to be together. So I like to be together around food. I don't know about anybody else. and ILA, Miss Yvette, them have where's the place the food comes from, Crayola? Bertha's, right? So I'm about to get some Bertha's food, right? And so we hope you stay because we're not done. We're gonna come off of this stage. We're gonna come down and ask you all what you think and what we need to be doing. So we're gonna have a roundtable conversation and I think we'll be out of here in 30 minutes. Is that okay? Okay.
I'm going to ask my wonderful sister to come bless the food, Reverend Rosalind Daniels.
She's my baby sister, so she can get away with that. Let us pray. Father and our God, we want to thank you for your goodness, your mercy, and your grace. We thank you for this opportunity that we can dialogue about needful information. God, I bless each and every one of these women who came with information that we would be fed. Now, Lord God, feed us with this natural food that has been prepared for us, and let it be used for the nourishing of our bodies and not for the fattening, but for the nourishing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And so hold 1 second, just a couple of minutes. We want to bring on Kara Turntine to talk about the rest of the tour, and then we'll break to get the food. So Kara, come on up. Give 2 minutes.
I will not be before you long because I am standing between you and your dinner. We are so excited that the NCBCP Unity Tour has landed right here at ILA. We want to thank ILA for hosting us tonight. This is our third stop on the first part of phase 2 of the national campaign. So we started this morning at Charity Missionary Baptist Church. We went down to Rodney Scott's barbecue. So if you missed it, you missed a treat. And now we are here at our sister vote. We will not be erased Townhall. And so this is the first day of our 3-day, 5-city tour across South Carolina. We invite you to join us tomorrow. We are headed to Columbia, where we will visit Benedict College at the David Swinton Campus Center for our Columbia HBCU early vote tour with our young people. We're going to be there at 11 a.m. And then we invite all of the brothers, all of you know a couple of brothers out in Columbia, to join us at our Black Men's Roundtable. We'll be doing this very same thing tomorrow night in Columbia with the Black men. Our GOTV gathering, the topic is Power of the Black Men's Vote 2024. We'll be at the House of Hawthorne, 6319 North Main Street, 7 p.m. We'll be joined by DJ Buddha Brown. Then we will wake up on Election Day, Saturday, February the 3rd, getting out the vote. We're going down to Johnsonville, to Jake's Restaurant at 8 a.m., 105 West Broadway. And then we will continue on to Florence for the Power of the Ballot GOT gathering with Mayor.
Mike,
With Mayor.
no,
They say, keep going, girl. We got to eat. We're going on down to Florence, and we're going to be hosted by Mayor Teresa Myers Irvin, the first Black woman mayor of Florence. She'll be down there at 10 a.m. with us at 702 West Sumter, right across from the Sumter Street grocery store. So join us there. And then we will continue on canvassing at the Big T parking lot at 1113 Oakland Avenue in Florence, South Carolina at 1130. And then we will close out and wrap our tour up in Santee at the Power of the Ballot Black Business GOTV gathering at the Rotunda Banquet Facility, 1550 Bass Street in Santee, South Carolina. We invite you to join us there at 1 p.m. So our tour will be, it's 3 days, 5 cities. We are excited that you are here with us tonight. And then when we finish our tour on Saturday, February 3rd, which is Election Day, the tour will continue across the nation, because we know after the election here in South Carolina, that will signal to Black folks all across the country what we're thinking about, what our issues are, what we care about, and it will impact the vote across the nation. So we will be traveling to several states, and this tour will continue on in Georgia and Michigan, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Florida, Ohio, Alabama, Louisiana, Maryland, and Mississippi. So we thank you for being a part of the phase 2 of this tour, and we look forward to seeing you across the nation. For those of you joining us online, visit us at NCBCP Facebook page to follow the tour virtually. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we're gonna move the rest of the program over here. Y'all can grab food and grab a table. Can we get some grab a food, grab a table music? DJ, Butter Brown. Let's do this.
Yes.
And she organized. It is the state law because she basically organized all the civil rights leaders, MLK, all of them. All of them. Fannie Lou.
Okay. Right. Okay.
See, that's what we gotta do. You organize them, right? That's right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, just move that.
Test them.
All right, who's not eating? Anybody not eating I can talk to? Let me know when you're ready. Okay. All right, who can I talk to first? Let's go over here. All right, sister. We are still live. We are still live. Sister, we are still live. So I want to ask you, tell us what you think needs to happen going into this election, not just this weekend.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am April Lott. I am, oh, okay.
Sorry.
I am the second vice president for the National Council of Negro Women. I am the first vice president of the A. Philip Randolph Greater Charleston chapter. I am the chair of the Charleston Alliance for Fair Employment, Charleston Workers Center. I am also president of the Charleston Central Labor Council. president of the American Federation of Government Employees, Local 3627. I am, I am the co-chair of the South Carolina Progressive Network, and I am a board member of the South Carolina AFL-CIO. I think that's it. But what needs to be done going forward is we need to make sure that the people understand that this is their right, that this is a right that has been fought for, that there have been tears shed, there's been sweat, and there was even bloodshed just for us to have this right. The right to go into a room, to stand in front of a ballot and make a decision for who's going to be on our school board, to make the decision of who's going to sit on our county councils and our city councils, who's going to represent us in the state legislature, who's going to represent us in the governor's house, and who is going to represent us as the president of the United States. We have that right, and we must exercise our right. We must not take it for granted, and we must use it, because the power lies within us. So that is what we need to do. We need to educate, we need to agitate, and we need to get these folks moving.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, who's ready to tell me what you think? Is this sisters right here? I'm walking over here before she put her fork in her mouth. I'm not gonna get you while you're eating. Can I get you, sister, right here? Can I? Yes, ma'am. Tell us your name and tell us what you think we need to be doing and what this power to ballot means.
Okay, I am Annette Lott. I am that April Lott's mom. And I've enjoyed so much tonight for what I've heard about the voting. And it's so important. It's so important that I voted. I voted. I voted already. And we need our people to know the importance of this. It's very important to know that, like she said, people fought for us. They fought for us to be here to do exactly what we are doing right now. And we need to let everybody know, however means, whatever needs possible, whatever means possible, we need to get it done to have all of our people vote. That power, voice, power, that's what we need. All right?
All right, thank you. Where's Miss Yvette? Thank you. Miss Yvette, I'm coming to you. You hadn't eaten yet. You're not eating yet. Come on over here. You're not getting away with not saying anything to us. So let's talk to us. Tell us what you think needs to happen. I'm gonna hold your plate.
Okay. Hi, my name is Yvette Flowers. I'm the financial secretary for this great union, Local 1422, here in Charleston, South Carolina. We are so glad to have y'all in our House of Labor again. And we have so much to do. This election is a vital election. There's so much out. We just don't know what the agenda is of folks. We have to make sure that the people we elect is going to make sure that we protect our future as well as look out for the past, because the thing that bothers me the most about this election right now and what has happened with our reproduction rights. As a grandmother to 4 little girls, it bothers me that they have taken a right that they should have, that I had my whole life, away from them. And I don't want to see that. I want to see that fixed. I want to see that changed. I want to see that put back right. Because years ago, we didn't live in that time, slavery time. We weren't in that era. And to know that they're trying to tell us what to do with our bodies like they did back then, it is very scary to me that who knows if they can change that? Can they change something else? So we must come out and vote and make sure we support the right candidates. And, you know, I know what my right candidate is. I know y'all know. But we need to support them. We as Black women must stand together, because I'm going to use our ILA's slogan this year. We are a force to reckon with. And we're going to have to teach them this time around that we are that force in the Democratic Party that can get whoever that's going to support us and give us what we need as a people, as women. We are going to support them because we are that force that should be recognized, a force that they can always count on, because they always count on us to pull out the Democratic Party.
Thank you, Miss Yvette. I think that's a good way to close. Sister Cleola, can you come over here? Because we're going to close out. Where's Sister Trudy? Come over here. We're going to close out together. We started together. We're going to close out together. And I want to, as I'm waiting on my sisters to come up, I'm Melanie Campbell, and I am the head of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, convener Black Women's Roundtable. I want to thank Roland Martin, Unfiltered, for being our media partner once again, and thank all of the folks that are coming out. So we're going to ask our other lead partners to bring their closing remarks. Sister Trudy. And Cleola, we need you over here. Cleola.
Hey, thank you so much again on behalf of the National Action Network, our founder and president, Reverend Al Sharpton, the Religious Affairs Department here in Charleston, South Carolina. I am so glad that they always make Charleston, my home, their stop-by place as we gather to get the power of the ballot. It is important that we make our way to the polls. It is important that we take everybody in our household to the polls. It is important that we encourage those that we know, those that we love, those our friends, our foes, our families, everybody. We encourage them to get to the polls. Again, on behalf of Charleston, South Carolina, we cannot thank you enough for being with us and encouraging our women, our Black women, to get to the polls. God bless you.
Amen. Stay with me, Trudy. I hope that you all heard some of the words that were said tonight if you didn't hear all of them. The most important thing that God said was you must do your part. You have got to do your part, because then you get other people to do their part. They trust you. You are the leaders that they know. And as long as I've got these two sisters, one on each side, that's pushing me, I'm going to do my part too. That means I'm going to push you to do yours. Charleston, South Carolina, first place where they forced us to come into. Last time they're going to force us to do anything is when we stand up and demand that right, that we are entitled to the same rights as any other person in this country. God bless you, Charleston. God bless all of you activists who have done everything to make this one a good one. And thanks to our leader, Melanie Campbell, for pushing us always. Thank you, Melanie.
Good night. Power the ballot. We won't be erased. Vote South Carolina. Tomorrow, last early vote day. Joe Taker, Edie, right? Last day, the early vote is tomorrow. And you have Saturday to vote. Get out there. Own your power. Vote South Carolina first in the nation. Good night.